I've never actually looked at it.
Yeah, I haven't.
Oh, we got a lot of firefighters here. Yay for the firefighters.
Pass one down to Rob. Good with one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. It's Tuesday, February 17, 2026. We'll call the City Council regular meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the invocation given by Councilman Curley, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Most Holy One, once again, we are here tonight to do the business of the city. And Lord, first of all, thank you for all the firefighters that are here as we speak, and bless the ones also that are at the firehouse taking care of our city. Lord, we would ask that you would be with the council and be with the folks who are watching us on television and be with the folks who are here tonight, that we may
PM, so I didn't know if that needed a correction. Just to note that it should have been PM.
I didn't hear them.
Oh, just the time was wrong on here, but we have a motion to approve. Is there support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Here, yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
All right, the first item we have is proclamation for Black History Month, February 2026. And I will make a motion to approve.
Support.
Any comments?
Just for myself, I'm going to abstain from that. I don't believe that a proclamation should be something, especially one of like this is one that we should be voting on. If we proclaim it, I believe we should just read it and celebrate it, but that's just my position for the record.
Right. Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
And whereas the City of Eastpointe recognizes our moral responsibility and duty to work to achieve a more perfect union. And whereas the City of Eastpointe encourages its employees, residents, and business owners to practice active anti-racist behaviors. And whereas the City of Eastpointe denounces all discrimination in any form as an affront to our inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the City of Eastpointe condemns racism in all forms in our neighborhoods, in our policymaking, and in our policing. And whereas the City of Eastpointe recognizes the work already done by employees, residents, and businesses owners to achieve racial equality in our community. And whereas the City of Eastpointe affirms that Black history is American history, and we recognize February, not to limit the learning of Black history to 1 month, but to encourage reflection for all citizens so that we may preserve, strengthen, and further our shared fundamental.
Mayor, Council, thank you again for the time. Tried to squeeze these all in last week, but due to scheduling, we had to split them apart, but we definitely appreciate the fact that you guys let us do this here. I've said it last week, we're a modest group, so a lot of times these awards get done in behind closed doors, and trying to change that to let the community see what these guys do on a daily basis as well as you. But this next award that I'm going to present to these gentlemen here, along with Sergeant Starr, who couldn't be here tonight, was a high-risk, low-frequency run. Gordon Graham's a guy who talks about risk management in our profession, and it would probably put these guys to sleep just at the mention of his name, because his videos can be pretty rough. But the reality is this was one of those runs that was a high-risk, low-frequency, not something we see all the time. I was sitting in my office, and these guys got a call for medical, went over there. I heard them call for another engine, which alerted me that this was more than something than just a medical. It happened to be started as medical, but a patient drove through a garage. The garage collapsed onto the vehicle, and they were pinned in the vehicle. So these guys were able to extricate the patient through the windshield, assess the situation, and because of that, they got the patient out in a timely manner. I'll read you the award.
The first hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Good afternoon, good evening, council and mayor. I'm here because Ms. Holman and the director of DPW, but this is unacceptable. Have you driven through from 8 Mile to 10 Mile? I saw one guy out there cleaning on Gratiot. Now, I started to go do Kelly, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see how long it takes for the people who actually get paid to do the job, to do the job. So that's all I came to say tonight. And I usually don't come to the city council meetings, but I wanted us as a city to get started early on this, because if it keeps going on, it'll go on all summer long. And I don't want to be out here. I'm 68 years old, but if I have to do it, I'll do it. So, Mr. Mattis, you're our new city manager. Everybody else knows me. They don't like me, but I do the best that I can, because all I do is pick up trash. But I'm asking you, please make your people do their jobs. Otherwise, this 68-year-old woman will be out there with my puller and my garbage bags picking up trash. That's what I have to do. So thank you for your time, and I'm leaving now. I'll go and watch the rest of it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Kleinfeld and members of council. My name is Shannon Doolin. I represent Comcast, and I'm a member of their government affairs team. We've recently had staffing changes, and I just...
One block off of 8 Mile over there, and there seems to be a lot of traffic diverts down that street. And just like on the way here, they were speeding. So I just wanted to maybe inquire about some speed bumps to slow these guys down. Because on the way here, in this fog, yeah, they were just speeding. And I think it has something to do with, we the first street off 8 Mile. A person might miss their street and they turn around, they take the Eastpointe for a new route. Dang. Them are the two biggest things I want to talk about. Okay.
Great, thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
John Solera, Kelly Road. It is right and respectful that we do honor Black History Month, but we need to refocus Black History Month. And I'll even take it back to right after the Civil War, when the birthright citizenship was put into the Constitution. The laws of the 60s and the birthright citizenship, we're talking about the same thing, I think. So if you could tonight, in your closing remarks, guide us to the way that you kept the meeting with Moses Roses away from the public. Because I'm curious, did you break the Open Meeting Act or the Sunshine Laws as you referred to them? And, you know, I like you all, but you're politicians. We got to talk bluntly. Mr. Curley and Mr. Baker, you put up a lot of fuss about some of the comments I made at the last meeting. The one thing I didn't hear of in the Moses Roses situation was any excuse or, let's not call it.
You have 30 seconds.
Like, any rationale for taking that meeting off the books. I heard nothing from you about that. So, and that'll be it for now.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Minorities, under that term, just there alone, that threw in everybody else. Everybody benefited but the ones that it was supposed to be for and what have you. So I totally agree with them 100%.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to be heard?
Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. I know that you're going to be talking about the gas station setback ordinance again tonight, and I am asking that you either leave the setbacks at 2 feet as you approved at the February 3rd City Council meeting to prevent creating non-conforming structures, or add language to the ordinance that allows existing detached accessory buildings to keep their original setbacks under any and all circumstances, whether a garage needs to be rebuilt due to fire, explosion, natural disaster, city condemnation, or because the homeowner simply wants to rebuild their garage, and regardless of cost of rebuilding the garage or change in ownership. You know, this was brought up originally on the October 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. At that meeting, our building official, Mr. Myers, stated that under section 11.07 Part D, Part 1, that in the event of a fire or a disaster, a garage could be rebuilt with the old setbacks. I sent you all a copy of that ordinance. I don't read it that way. I don't think it really protects a homeowner to be able to build their garage. I know in my neighborhood, all of the garages have 2-foot setbacks from the side lot. Most of them have 5-foot setbacks from the rear lot line.
You have 30 seconds.
In the agenda packet, you refer to the 2 feet being a safety issue and also promoting the growth of weeds. The 2 feet by our garages is cement. There are no weeds growing there. And the garages are staggered, so there's open space all the way around them. It doesn't matter if it's 2 feet from the fence line or 3 feet from the fence line. There's nothing on the other side of the fence line to cause a fire to spread to a neighboring property. So if you could review that and possibly amend the language, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Council, Mayor, Eastpointe resident, Gary Myron. I agree with Jennifer.
Anyone else?
The ALDF reported a 4-month-old St. Bernard puppy in Dresden, Tennessee, endured a nightmare ending in tragedy that no animal should ever face. For 4 long hours, she was kicked, choked, stabbed, all before her tiny body gave out. She didn't deserve this. No puppy, no animal does. We live in a world where animals are abused and tortured, exploited, and neglected for profit, entertainment, and fun. This cruelty will not stop on its own. It takes legal action to hold abusers accountable and change the systems that allow animals to suffer. That's exactly what ALDF does. You'd agree that animals like this puppy deserve protection and justice, yet too often acts of cruelty and neglect are brushed aside, sending the message that animal suffering doesn't matter. Side note, that's exactly what Chief Haynes did in abdicating his duties and responsibilities and failing to cite the petting zoo owner for animal neglect and purposely consistently within their community. Cruelty and neglect far too often goes unaddressed, and in many states, animal protection laws are incomplete, outdated, or under-enforced. The vet report from the previous meeting went on to state in regards to the rabbits living outside on a farm doesn't negate those concerns. Temporary transport, exhibition in cold conditions, in
You have
metal
30
trailers,
seconds.
and carriers without thermal protection present risks distinct from permanent, well-designed housing and should be evaluated independently based on veterinary knowledge. The described conditions there's significant animal welfare concerns. It's inconsistent with the requirements to provide adequate protection from the elements and generally accepted standards of animal care. We need ordinances for the rabbits. They have no protection.
Thank you.
Last of all, rest in peace, Jesse Jackson. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We don't have any minutes to approve or scheduled hearings or
August election. So we'll need to either move or reschedule that meeting. You'll see that next time. And there's lots of other things we're getting out to bid and that you'll see in the near future. We are working on cleaning up lots of processes and just considering kind of those business as usual items. So as I've settled in, I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to learn some more. So it's a good time to just look at how we're organized and what we're doing and consider the best things we can do moving forward. So that's all for me. Thanks.
any questions for Mr. Mattis? And I don't recall if I had mentioned it before. I know that the school board would like to do a joint meeting at some point, not urgent, but we used to do that every year, just to kind of see where, we were at and they were at. And I was looking for the review paperwork. Councilwoman Pashadlik had created that for the last review we did, so I think she's going to send out something before the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that.
All right. Moving on to the finance director's report, Mr. Blum.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The only thing I was going to mention was budgets. We had our first departmental budget review meeting today. Eased Ryan into it with an easy one, and just got him familiar with our process, and it seemed to go well. Mr. Mayor, Pat McGowan, our bond counsel, is here tonight, and he's going to come up if you have any questions.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Pat McGowan. I worked for the city as your bond counsel for a number of years. What you have before you tonight, the first item is a notice of intent resolution for water and sewer system revenue bonds. As you may recall, the city has applied for funding through the state Clean Water Revolving Fund. This is a program that the state uses federal dollars to subsidize low-interest loans and grants. The city applied last year and was approved for funding in the fall for a sewer project that includes a grant or principal forgiveness of approximately $633,000 and a loan of just under $5 million that would be repaid over 20 years at 2%. So in order to take advantage of this program, the city is required to issue bonds to memorialize the loan. So what you have before you tonight is the first action item in a two-step process, the approval of a notice of intent resolution, which would indicate the city's intent to issue the bonds to essentially document the loan from the state for the sewer project that would pay for collection system improvements. The notice requirement is that if approved by the city council, the clerk would publish a notice in the newspaper letting the public know that the city intends to issue the bonds, and the bonds can be issued without a vote of the people unless a referendum petition is signed by not less than 10% of the registered voters. That's a pretty typical process in a lot of bonding statutes. So what you have before...
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
All right, item B, adoption of resolution 262013, notice of intent resolution for capital improvement bonds.
So while we're talking about bonds, let's talk about the next one. This relates to the police and court facility project that the city has been working on for a long time. This is a very similar resolution, although it's a different bonding process. This resolution would also authorize the publication of a notice of intent, of the city's intent to issue bonds in an amount not to exceed $10 million to pay part of the cost of the construction of the new police and court facility. This is a project that the city's been working on. The latest estimates from the city's engineers have this project around $18.6 million. So it would be paid for with a combination of grant funds as well as some city funds on hand. And then the remaining amount would be paid from the bond issue. So at this point, we don't know exactly what the size of that's going to be until the bids are taken later in the year. But the action item before you is to authorize the notice of intent resolution in an amount not to exceed $10 million to pay that portion of the project that the city would finance. This would be a bond issue that would be paid.
Item C, approval of extension of contract for sanitary sewer open cut repair program. Would anyone like to make a motion?
This is for the sewer and open cut repair program?
Yes.
I would move to extend, if I might, Mr. Mayor, I would move to extend the 2022 sanitary sewer open cut repair program, District Number 1, contract with Fontana Construction Incorporated of Sterling Heights, Michigan, to include the 2025-2026 program consisting of 11 critical open cut repair locations in the amount of $371,980, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Is there support?
Support.
Did anyone have any questions on this item? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott.
Yes.
All right, item D, which is the second reading of an adoption of ordinance number 26-1254.
Mayor, this is the item that we had.
Very workable solution for now. It's something we can always review in a future update. There might even be more things we would like to see to consider regarding setbacks in the future. But for now, I think a 3-foot setback is highly recommended by Planning Commission and recommended by the administration as well.
And the recommendation is that if the building burned down, the garage burned down, they couldn't rebuild the garage in the same spot with the 2-foot setback.
If they lost the entire building, it would have to be built to the current spec. So if it, right now it's only it would have to meet the 3-foot setback.
Why?
Going forward.
Why?
Safety. If it caught fire.
So when they built the garage, it was illegal to make it 2 feet.
At the time, there was a different standard. And
Well, wait a minute. So the different standards back then didn't regard any safety?
typically, no, actually. Your garage is a place that is full of dangers. If you think about it, it's the place it's where you keep your old paint cans. It's where you keep your gas can, your oily rags. You run your small engines in there. You store things in there. It's a place that you have to consider safety. And alternatives develop, regulations change, things change. We learn more and we do better, right? As a society, that's what we do. So existing nonconformities happen. Those are the things that become grandfathered in. That's what a lot of people call it. So as it stands now, that's okay. But now that we know more, we can do better. So to increase the setback is recommended at this point.
I'm just curious. It's a crazy question, but I'll ask it anyway. Has anybody ever went out and took a yardstick and measured 30 or 40 or 50 garages and see if it was 2 feet or 3 feet?
Yes.
So most of them are 2 feet?
I wouldn't say most. I don't have a solid answer, but I'm looking at John. John Myers, our building official. Sorry to put you on the spot, John. Some do, some don't. I'll let John speak more to it, but between John and his team, they've looked at every building in town. I think John can tell you more.
Council, thank you for the opportunity. The reality is, depends on what district and neighborhood you're talking about. So you take maybe potentially on the east side of Kelly, you might find everything set back at a tighter range. You find the older neighborhoods, their setbacks are much further apart. Also, you find many properties don't even have a garage. Greens, vegetation to be cleaned and kept maintained for rodent control, and now you're squeezing it in. And our previous law was, even with a 3-foot setback, is at the top of at the wall, not at the overhang or the gutter ridge of it. So now if I'm at 2 feet and I'm not counting the side wall, but I'm counting the overhang of a 6/12 pitch garage roof, now I'm actually letting all my water go into the neighbor's property and vice versa. So we now have much more complications in the overgrowth that we have in our city. Also, we have a difficulty of if one fire gets started in one garage, it has a much bigger risk of putting many other neighborhoods at risk.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess what I'm thinking about is realistically, how many properties would this affect where I guess they're on the cusp? I think Mr. Mattis, he said if they're entirely, burned down or something like that. I don't think it would necessarily be harmful to have a caveat that existing structures can be repaired, remodeled, or, something like that. Because I do get the argument that it's sometimes people will not fix something because if they take down a wall, they have to move it then, so they keep it up while it ages. So I don't know. What does council think?
Well, I think you might have guessed with the questions I've had so for 50 years, scare them bejeebies out of me because you use the word danger half a dozen or more times already, instead of saying, well, this is kind of what we want to do. But you're sure using the word danger a lot.
And that's why the standard exists. That imagine trying to get a ladder from, the fire department between two things that are built right to the property line. You can't.
It's 2 feet from the property line.
Like John said, the wall is 2 feet, but the roof overhangs and the gutter overhangs that. So.
Well, don't put the ladder in the back, put it in the side or to the front.
So I got a question. Potentially, if somebody loses a garage due to whatever disaster, depending on the size of the lot that they sit on, if they currently have a 2-foot garage, a 2-car garage, do they potentially run the risk of now having to reduce the size of their garage based off of the movement, or is there still plenty of room?
Totally subjective. Usually there's room. It would just the footprint would be different. So they'd have to move it 2 feet forward or whatever it is to meet that requirement. It depends on the parcel, it depends on the driveway, et cetera, et cetera. But in general, there's possibilities to move it 2 feet. It's got to be away from the line and other structures.
Because I guess for me, I guess thinking about it, if I had a 2-car garage and I had to rebuild, I would want to be sure that I can rebuild what I've already had that meets the needs of me and my family. And so that would be my main concern. And I understand that maybe there's ways to work through this. But if this setback changes, I need to be certain that I can rebuild what meets the needs of my family. And maybe that's kind of a broad question. Maybe it's an irrelevant question, depending, or maybe it's just, like you said, subjective to the property that it sits on. But if there's...
if you weren't able to build in the same footprint.
Your answer won't have an imperative fact against the project. If the property already has granted enough floor ground space, and this city's hard surface coverage in the city is 60%. If you already had a 2-foot garage and you were going to move it 1 foot to the left to get your 3 foot because it burned down to the ground and you wanted to rebuild it, you'd still be permitted to build a 2-car garage because you're only moving it 1 foot to the left to properly get your distance to meet the city code. The also issue with even driveways in the city ordinance at present in an existing or repairing of your driveway is it's allowed to have 3 feet of concrete on the width. It's allowed to have 3 feet of concrete on the width of the door. So whatever the side of the door is, you're allowed 3 feet on each side extension. So you still wouldn't have a bigger driveway. You'd just be moving your property building in a new rebuild back to 1 foot to the left. So no, it wouldn't be in a major, at the cost of building a whole new garage, 1 foot of concrete isn't going to offset the massive cost of removing it to a proper size if it needed to be rebuilt after a tragedy brought it to the ground.
I have a quick question. So if we're doing hypotheticals, what if a garage did burn, but not to the ground? So, you know, it's still there and you have to reconstruct, so to speak. What would the requirement be? So let's just say my garage, there's a wire, falls on it, catches the top of it on fire. The rest of it is preserved somehow, and I want to rebuild it.
The answer is if you're going to leave it as existing and repair it, you're legally allowed to do so. As all as if you have to build one wall that's 3 walls are staying and one wall has to be rebuilt or the trusses have to be put in, that won't change your position of your setback because you're not removing the entire building by accident, by intent, or by purpose.
So like if you had a cinder block garage, say, and the roof basically caught fire.
Rebuild the roof.
Okay.
That would be all.
But you wouldn't have to.
No, no, ma'am.
Thank you.
Motion hasn't been made yet.
Nope.
And secondly, I love everybody on the planning commission, but the word recommended is what they do. They recommend something to us. It's not something that we have to do if we
No,
don't
you
want
make it
to.
official.
That's right, that's right. Well, I talked enough, but the rest of the people can.
I have another. With respect to the planning commission, you know, they are very thorough. I've gone to many, many meetings.
They're beautiful, they're wonderful.
They really do a very thorough job, and I'd hate to be offensive towards that work that they've done, too. You know, it's not an easy job. I know they've made questions, as Jennifer Nicholas had mentioned, you know, Ms. Naylor is very thorough in her questioning and, you know, why her reasoning and things like that. So, you know, I know that there's a lot of work and effort that goes into that recommendation. But, you know, I don't want to negate that commission at all in any way, shape, or form. I certainly do appreciate all the hard work that they do. So I'd just like to mention that as well.
Well, I guess my position is, I think I'm compelled to go with the 3 feet change. I don't know if it would be, if it really does any harm to add any language saying that existing structures can remain at the 2 feet so they're not in non-compliance. I guess I don't know that it would matter either way, because until there's new construction, we don't do anything about it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't
Softening
think
language?
we need to add the language. If we want to instruct the planning commission to review, you know, something like that of how to go from here, I would love to talk about what else we need to do regarding setbacks. If we wanted to give direction to them to consider language like that, we could as an additional motion, but I think we could treat them as separate items.
Oh, Mr. Albright?
Mayor, from a legal standpoint, having that additional language would not legally be required.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where we're at.
Well, Is
Rich, you're
anyone-
going to have to help me out there here with it, because I want to make a motion to have grandfather the 2 feet in if the, but I don't know how I can write that down. In other words, you know how I'm feeling. If you have a fire and you had 2 feet, you would be grandfathered in to, you could build the garage again with a 2 foot instead of requiring you to move to 3. Everybody knows on the council what I'm talking about, but we gotta be in writing someplace.
I'd want to think about that rather than coming up with that language just off the hip at tonight's council meeting. So if the council would like to adjourn this, just
Structure have to be moved. I'm okay with the language as is, but I would be okay with having some sort of grandfather language in there too. I don't think it's going to affect realistically that many garages, because it would be in the circumstance where for some
So
reason.
you wouldn't have any problem to grandfather in if it was 2 feet?
No.
Okay, so that's 2 votes for it. I'm making a hard sell, aren't I?
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yep.
I would move to amend the February 3rd, 2026 motion to give second reading and adopt ordinance number 26-1254 to amend sections of the zoning ordinance as follows. Section C, detached accessory buildings. The side and rear yard setback shall be a minimum of 3 feet. Zoning map. The legal description is amended to include the entire legal description as shown in the attached ordinance number 25-1254.
Is there support?
Support.
All right. Any comments on that?
Again, I can only comment that the, Planning Commission does work very diligently on these issues for us. They do a great deal of work, and I do appreciate their work on the commission.
Councilwoman, I agree 100% with you. I've known everybody on the Planning Commission for decades.
Of course you have.
And I appreciate all of them, but I wouldn't want to make a motion because I don't want to hurt their feelings. That's what it sounds like.
I am not making an emotional decision.
About grandfathering in, but being that there's a motion already made, I don't know if it would matter to ask if you'd be willing to amend it with that proposed language, or if you would prefer to keep it as you just made it.
Again, I only went with this motion because, if you do have a scenario, as I had just suggested, say, my garage that's 2 feet, it's a cinder block garage, the roof catches fire, and I need to redo my garage, restructure it, it would still be, quote, grandfathered in to be redone.
Yeah.
I think the scenario is it has to burn completely down to the ground and a complete new rebuild.
Yeah, and I think that's where Councilman Curley was going with his question. But but it sounds like I got my answer already. With what you just said, so.
I think our answer is no.
Yeah, it could have just been no. I would have been okay with, but okay.
Okay, let me try something here. And by the way, folks, I don't want somebody coming up with the second here in the public saying, I don't understand you. You spent a half hour on something and I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we're here. I'm having fun, and I'm not mad at anybody. This is democracy in action. So, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes.
Could I make a substitute motion?
Well, there has to be a motion to amend. There's a motion on the table right now.
This says not to amend it. It's just a substitute motion, period.
No, it has to be a motion to amend.
Okay, you're both wrong. You're both, no. Because I read up on that stuff, like a substitute motion. If you got a motion up there and you want to, okay, you say no, fine. But next 2 weeks, I'll bring the book and show you the page and the verbiage that's in there, and you'll apologize to me.
I would.
Okay? So anyway, Mr. Mayor, my substitute motion was going to be to table this motion, but I'm out of order. Thank you.
Any other comments on the motion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bishadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
No.
Councilmember Curley.
No.
All right, moving on to item E. Introduction and give first reading to ordinance number 26-1255, amend the addition of the International Property Maintenance Code. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 26-1255 to amend the addition of the Property Maintenance Code to the 2021 addition to the IPMC and to schedule the second reading and adoption of the regular council meeting for March 3rd, 2026.
Support.
All right, any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. Item
I
F.
could add, sorry to interject. If you do have comments or thoughts after reading it, that's why we do 2 reads of ordinances. So if you have thoughts or comments, please share them to the city manager's office or to this council, but that's why we do 2 reads. So let's do it between now and the second read, please. That would be much appreciated.
All right. Item F. Thank you. Approval of memorandum of understanding for participation in the Southeast Michigan Recast Leaders Cohort.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding for the Southeast Michigan Recast Leaders Cohort with Recast City and the Michigan Municipal League, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Is there support? I'll support. Any comments?
I have a quick question. I was just wondering if we had checked with Roseville's trade inspectors to see if they would match those prices or not.
Well, you jumped ahead one.
Oh,
We're
I'm sorry.
doing recast first.
Okay.
But we will.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Bishadlick?
Yes.
All right, item G, approval of contractual trade inspectors. Councilwoman Shadley?
That was my question, I'm sorry. I was just curious if we had checked with the Roseville to see if they would match those prices or not.
We have. We've spoken with Roseville a couple times about our shared services, and we realize it is some cost savings for us to take it in-house.
I mean, it's significant. It's, really big difference.
Yep, and Roseville was very helpful in a pinch when we needed trade inspectors. They were incredibly helpful. But it's a different time where we were able to find qualified, very good inspectors at a very reasonable rate. So we'd like to move in that direction, if council
Absolutely.
agrees.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I would move to authorize administration to use independent trade inspectors for electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and other trade inspections, and for plan reviews, and further authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents for the inspectors and to end the agreement with the city of Roseville.
Is there support?
Support. Support.
Any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bishadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Item H, approval of policy for Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, audience participation.
So move.
Support.
I support the policy as well, although I suppose I could bring it in a future meeting to propose an amendment. I did want to include a little bit of language which we can just pass this so we have a policy in place going forward. That would require, if someone's appearing via Zoom, that their video be on, unmuted while they're speaking, and language that, the chair might mute them or whatever, to prevent interruptions, just to kind of spell out that one of us will be kind of in charge of the meeting, assuming we use Zoom or something similar.
I'll amend it as such currently.
I don't have the language yet. But I just thought that might be something good to spell out, just so there's no complaints in the future, but
Mayor, I think that's something, it's good just to have this framework.
Yep.
So people can utilize this policy, and then as time goes on, if we see things that certainly can be improved, the policy can always be amended.
All right, any questions?
So this would be via Zoom, is that correct? So that would be, the participation for the ADA requirement would be via Zoom, is that what we're thinking, or?
I think it's written vaguely as remote public comment, but Zoom or some sort of similar technology, I think, is what we had in mind.
So if we utilized Zoom, would, because, there's different varieties of Zoom that you can use, variations, where you can use, the party themselves can mute themselves, or the administrator can mute themselves. So would we be looking at like an administration muting ability if?
I think we'd have to work on it, because I think there's been some issues with plugging it in so that it's visible here. I think so. I mean, just from being in a courtroom and seeing if the judge doesn't have control, how crazy it can get quickly.
Yeah. You can mute them and they'll unmute themselves right away and, continue. So I'm just asking, that's all.
It would definitely be a feature we would utilize, I think.
Yeah. And Mayor, if I could just, Ryan, where does city administration anticipate this policy will be posted here at City Hall? Of course, on the website, but where do you anticipate it'll also be posted?
Policies, once adopted, are on the website. They go on to Documents on Demand. We just began a policy of public comment that is received per the 5 days ahead of the meeting that's written on the front of the agenda. There's a binder in the city manager's office where we print those out and put them so they are publicly available. We encourage council to check those out before meetings. So it'll be posted in all the normal ways.
Thank you.
I have another one. I'm sorry, Mr. Mattis.
You're good.
I'm going to be a thorn
They're
today.
good questions.
My other question would be, do we know of other cities who utilize Zoom for their city council meetings and allow remote participation?
Some do. The Open Meetings Act is very clear that you, as voting members, cannot be remote. You have to be in person currently, and that has changed over time. But participation remotely is allowed. Some cities do. Sometimes it's one way. Sometimes there's a variety of ways that different communities do it. Some you record the message and it's played during the meeting. Some they're read into the minutes. There's a variety of ways that people are able to participate remotely, and like the mayor said, this gets us started on that track.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
All right, item I, reschedule the joint city council and planning commission meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move to reschedule the joint city council and planning commission meeting for Thursday, March 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers.
Is there support? I'll support.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Isn't that the same day as the Planning Commission's regularly scheduled meeting? Thursday, March 5th would be their regularly scheduled meeting?
It is.
So then there really wouldn't be much of a difference except that it's their scheduled meeting versus our scheduled meeting? So it's kind of the
Essentially.
same?
Yep. There's a
Premise.
little bit of advantage to doing it on this Thursday that the consultants who are helping with our master planning will be available.
Yeah, of course.
And
Of
so
course, that's great.
that's why, if council's okay giving up home court advantage to planning commission on that Thursday instead of a Tuesday.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Scott,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Great. Payroll and bills.
Move we pay the bills in the amount of $3,814,437.59.
Support.
Any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick,
Yes.
Councilmember Scott,
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. All right, with that, the second hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
John Solera, Council. Regarding, Mr. Mattis, I don't think you understand Eastpointe. These changes to codes, I'm not a person that's lived here 30 years. I bought a house built in 1957. I'm looking at replacing roofs. I'm looking at replacing a lot of other things, furnace, hot water. Got issues with the basement cement. You cannot pile these codes that increase prices. It is just part of this liberal over-regulation. If my garage burns down completely, then I got to pay to add another foot on the other side. I don't think the people proposing this stuff understand Eastpointe. It's not like I bought a new house and everything's going to last for 25 years. I bought a house in 2020, and it was built in 1957. There's a lot of repairs to be done. And adding these burdens, you're just going to raise prices where people can't live here. Before I forget, it's President's Month also, I believe, along with the Civil Rights Act. Let's recognize Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. He died for it. There's plenty of criticisms of Lincoln, but he deserves credit for what he did. Regarding the opioid money, I don't think you folks understand optics. It stinks to high heaven that you sued for Eastpointe, but now you're distributing the money to what looks like democratic organizations, a teachers union, a 501c3. So I don't know. It looks like money laundering to me. It's probably technically legal, but it don't look good. And I don't care what you think about it. And my last notion is there is a school bond proposal coming up. I urge the residents not to vote for it. Christina Gibson does a terrible job running these schools, barely better than Detroit. People leave there, the kids leave there, barely able to read and write. So by
30 seconds.
turning down the proposal, you're not hurting the kids. Christina Gibson is just greedy. She doesn't need that. I urge you to vote against it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Gary Sasek, Eastpointe resident. The policy for the ADA policy tonight that you approved, I'm hoping will also carry over to other boards and commissions. Just recently, the Planning Commission had the gentleman reach out to us. So it could affect other boards and commissions as well. So we may need some direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
I just have concerns, and I read it with Eastpointe residents, concerned about the DET setup and what have you. Last summer, they ran through all of Eastpointe cutting down trees and branches and so on and what have you. And now they intended on coming and doing the telephone poles or utility poles and what have you, starting in the spring. And I'm just wondering what kind of guideline do they follow through Eastpointe, and what department gives that type of authority to them through Eastpointe, if it's coming through Eastpointe anywhere at all. And I know when they did the trees, they would cut down the branches and then leave for the residents to remove all of the trunk of the tree and all that and what have you, at their own expense, own inconvenience and what have you. And I feel that's totally disrespectful. I didn't ask for it to be done, and you came and voluntarily done it and what have you, and then you leave me with your cost for the mess that you made and what have you. So I'd like to get somebody from council to give me some kind of information or guide me to where I can get the information to where is their authority and their policy coming from, to where they can just go and do as they please in people's yards. The telephone poles is going to involve anywhere there's telephone poles they consider damage. So that's not only on residents, that's out on the streets, wherever, and what have you, to get that type of power and that type of rights.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else?
Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. Thank you, Councilman Baker, for expressing your position on the proclamation tonight. I agree with what you said for a multitude of reasons. I had a question. I believe there is a Board of Ethics meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock here. I wasn't sure because it was not posted on the city website calendar as of yesterday. Just wanted to verify if that's still happening, because I do feel that the topic is fairly important to some of the residents here in Eastpointe. As far as the Planning Commission, Councilwoman Pashadlik, I know you are liaison to Planning Commission. I know that you aren't always able to attend the meetings, but I know that you were there November 6th at that Planning Commission meeting. And you would have heard Commissioner Naylor making a motion for the 3-foot setback with concerns about grandfathering in if there were a fire and somebody had to rebuild. And she wanted to add language that ensured that. Mr. Myers said, we don't need to add language because there is a section in our ordinance that covers that, which, as we see tonight, really does not. So, you know, your support of the Planning Commission, you did not support what the motion was that she tried to make. And for her issue with her neighbor whose garage burned down, fortunately, that was prior to this being passed. If it had happened a few months from now, he would have had to either move his garage and possibly reduce the size of his garage based on what you have voted on tonight. So other than that, you know, again, it's just very frustrating because in my instance, if my garage burned down and I had to move it over a foot, it would actually put it closer to the garage that's behind my backyard. Whereas now there's nothing around it, this would make it closer to another garage. So if my garage caught on fire again, it would probably set that garage on fire. So it's not making it safer in any case. And I really wish that you all had taken the time to really research this a little bit more. You might think that it doesn't impact a lot of people. I think it will impact a lot of people. And it's just really not supporting the residents here. And Mr. Mattis, you're new to this city and you don't really know the setup of the city, and I wish that you would, you know, take a little more time before deciding to put something on the agenda that you really don't have much experience yet about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Sorry, my first time up, I didn't speak to you guys, Mayor and Council. It's a little hoarse. So I had one question and concern. my wife and I, we ride bikes in the community, and we walk sometimes. So my question is, on 8 Mile, the road to 8 Mile going towards Gratiot, who's responsible for the overhang of the greenery? Because we ride bikes, and we have to duck and, so we don't get knocked down. And as well as the cement, who handles the cement, because a lot of cement is offset from tree roots and stuff like that. That was one of my biggest concerns that I missed.
Hey, thank you. Oh, could you state your name just for the record? I'm sorry. Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
So in regards to animal ordinances, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but you all know about the chicken ordinance. That thing's pretty extensive. You look at animal ordinances for rabbits, it's pathetic. A person shall be permitted to keep or maintain a maximum of 2 rabbits per household. Where's the protections? They don't exist. So I worked on my first draft, and I emailed that over to you, Mr. Albright. I hope you received it. And I said that I would work on a second draft to tighten up the language. But in a nutshell, this is what needs to be incorporated into the rabbit ordinance. Rabbits shall be housed strictly indoors to protect from predators, neglect, heat stroke, freezing to death, so on. I don't have time to go into all the details. I've got less than 3 minutes. I want to bring to everyone's attention on January 24th, Hadel found a domesticated black rabbit frozen to death outside. This is outrageous. Also, animal control must be provided proof of the rabbits either being spayed or neutered. They shall be vaccinated for RHDV2 vaccine. It's the rabbit, it's a rabbit disease where it's just gruesome. They hemorrhage to death. It started, overseas and eventually worked its way over to Canada, the western side of the United States. Now all the vets are requiring that domestic rabbits are vaccinated for RHDV2 and that they get annual boosters. So there's more. And again, Mr. Albright, I will work on the second draft to email that to you. Also, we need to
You have 30 seconds.
get it on in an ordinance. With all the neglect going on with these petting zoos, they need to be prohibited, flat out. Law enforcement is not trained in regards to animal neglect. Animal control is never, ever available when these clown shows come into town. There's no oversight. Nobody's paying attention. Animals have even died because of the public feeding them the wrong food.
Thank you very much.
I'll discuss more at another meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to mayor and council reports. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. Mr. Ford, I believe it is. Some years ago, I did actually inquire about speed bumps because we were talking about certain areas in the city where there's a lot of speeding. But I know one concern that came back was in regards to emergency vehicles. So that was kind of what I was told as to why that wasn't a doable option. But I know that, and this was several years ago, but the area that was brought to our attention, I know they did increase a police presence as they were able. And it was specifically like around school hours. And one of the resident that actually brought it to our attention did follow up and say that they had noticed some improvement. So as these things are happening, like, we're more than happy to try to pass this information on with our police. They do a great job. We see them. They're out in the community, but you know, if there's a problem, I mean, they're always open to hear, like, the things that we see, you know, but that I just kind of wanted to share that with you. Like, it was something I brought up several years ago, but that was kind of the feedback that I had received in regards to that. In regards to Black History Month, I don't have a reluctance or an aversion to learning about history. I do have some opinions, like one, it's a 28-day month. I think history is history, regardless as to who's a part of it. But if we want to recognize Black history, it's something that can be taught year-round, not just relegated to 28 days. Specifically tonight, one of the issues that I had was that we have 11 days left in the month. And I know it's come up before, but to have a proclamation come before us with 11 days left in a month, to me, I would have rather not have read that proclamation. Because to me, that doesn't really embody what that proclamation, the wording of that proclamation, but that's my assessment of it. There's more that I could say to that, but I'll leave it there. I think simply is that when you celebrate something, you proclaim something, you do just that. My personal feeling is that when we vote on it, it makes it political. And me, as someone who is a Black man, and I seldom bring up race or talk about race to that degree, but this is supposed to be something that celebrates what is supposed to be my history or the history of my ancestors. I don't feel like that was done properly. So that was my aversion to even voting on it. To me, if you celebrate it, just do it. I feel welcomed in someone's home when you just welcome me in, not labeling or taking a vote as to whether or not I can come in. So that's my position about that. Mr. Solera, in regards to the closed session, my recollection is that Mayor Kleinfeld did mention that there was some litigation discussed pertaining to that closed session, and that he wanted to be sure, well, that was why he didn't elaborate more about the closed session, because there was still an ongoing matter. So that would be the attorney-client privilege when deciding how to move forward and listening to the recommendation of our city attorney. My biggest pushback of what you said last week was really when you said about passing around blunts and bags of money. That's a federal crime, and I get it. You and I have never had a crossword or had issue back and forth, but I'm not doing anything illegal, and I take that very serious. So that was my pushback with that, or my response back to that. But being that there are some attorney-client privileges and certain information, sometimes we can't really say more until matters have been resolved. So that's all that I have for tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, you all saw on television when the car went through, didn't stop and smashed the car, and the other car went into somebody's house. It was on rain and, help me out. Thank you, yeah. So I went over there Saturday and sat there for about 45 minutes, and only one car went by. They slowed up and went ahead. Now, the police department is going to take a look at that. They're going to examine it. Maybe they'll end up putting 4 stop signs on there. That might be the safest way to go. I don't know. They're going to have to make that decision. And you know what? I'm going to go home as happy as when I got here. And you know me, if you know me for the last 60-some years, that the discussion we had today, I just can't sit here and talk and well, gee, Councilman, I don't agree. I like to shout, I like to yell, but I love everybody. I really do. And so please, what was it, 2 weeks ago, somebody got up here and said, well, how come you take so much time on it? Well, I told him, you could leave if you want to. Third thing I talked to two people out in the audience. What is a day of remembrance? Anybody know on the council either? Anybody know? No. Okay, this is not necessarily a joyful thing, but February 19th, 1942, President Roosevelt signed an executive order that all Japanese Americans shall be picked up and put in camps. Now, I say it was prison camps. And so Thursday, that February 19th, President Reagan made it an official day of remembrance of all the 120,000 Japanese Americans were picked up, men, women, and children, and put in prison camps. And then in 1988, President Reagan said, well, we're going to compensate. So anybody still living that were in any of those camps received a check from the government for $20,000. So hooray for Reagan. Interesting part of that, and Mr. Mayor, if I take a little bit too longer, there was a mom and dad and sister and brother who were put in that prison camp in California. And when they left there in 1945, they went to Chicago, and then they went to another state, and somehow or another, they seen an ad that my church put in there that they needed a maintenance man. And so the father came up to Royal Oak, and he was hired. So the gentleman, his son, was a member of our church for many years. He died in 2009 at the age of 85. But I have a little book that they wrote about his escapades in the prison camp. And they were able to form churches and schools and football teams and basketball teams. So the little kids were kind of calm. They were pretty good on that. Adults weren't treated very well. If anybody wants to read the book, you can read the book and you can return it 2 weeks from now back at the council. So I'll set it up here if anybody wants to take and read it. So on Thursday, the 19th, just kind of remember that as far as 1942, sometimes our federal government wasn't very nice. So someone must have learned something from not being very nice, because that's what's happening today. So that's it. And again, don't worry about us shouting. Well, I did most of the shouting. The council members don't shout. But don't worry about it. We're still friends. God bless you guys. And be careful. It's really foggy out there. Drive really slow. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pashadlik.
I just had a couple of quick things to say. First of all, I'd like to piggyback on the proclamations. I don't think they're done as a political. I disagree with Councilmember Baker. I don't think it's a political situation. I believe it's more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think that's why we have proclamations and that we vote on them. That's just my opinion. And I like to think that the rest of the group kind of agrees with that. I'd also like to thank the library. They recently hosted Arts and Cultural Diversity Commission. We had a hair wrapping event there, and it was well attended. It was very nice. And I'd like to encourage you to go check out the library when you get a chance. They do have a lot of good things going on there, and a lot of community events and stuff too. And of course, wonderful books. So if you can get a chance and get over there, it would be a good thing. And that's all I have.
All right, Councilwoman Scott.
I just wanted to go ahead and address some issues. I know there were some concerns made by members of the community regarding my vote towards the opioid funding. And I know Mrs. Solaris had a big concern about money laundering. I have no financial or personal interest in the vote, nor does any member of my family while I'm employed for Macomb Montessori and teach there. My vote was based solely on what I believe served the best interest of our community and the students that could benefit from the opioid funding and education, just to address any of those concerns you had. And also I wanted to redirect my attention to Mr. Blum. I know it was a little heated, and I didn't want it to kind of seem like I was questioning your work. But I just wanted to extend an apology if it may have looked like that to members of the community. And that'll be all.
Thank you. Just to touch on a couple of things. I know there were some comments about the litter. With all the snow melting right now, it's going to be a minute before we can clean everything up. It doesn't look great near me, where I live by 8 and Gratiot, so I know how bad that is right now. And we do have the ethics meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. It is occurring here in Chambers, if anyone wishes to attend that. A meeting for the Board of Ethics. And that's, thank you, that's all I have. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley. Yes. Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yeah, yes. Meeting adjourned at 8:38 PM.